UFC Fight Night Vegas 27, Font versus Garbrandt just took place, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving my reaction and breakdown to every single fight on the card, and what an amazing card this was. I did pretty okay with the predictions, starting with the early prelim opener of Rafael Alves versus Damir Ismagulov. I said Damir Ismagulov was going to win a 29-28 unanimous decision based on the second and third round, and he did exactly that against Rafael Alves. Great performance. He was a little bit rusty to begin with, which I did say would happen. I did not think that Rafael Alves was going to go out there and catch him on the chin and put him down in the first round. In fact, Damir Ismagulov actually won the first round. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Damir still won that first round. My memory of the first round is him getting dropped, but I forgot that after that, he still got a takedown on Rafael Alves, escaped a submission position, and just basically beat up Rafael Alves on the ground for the entirety of the third round. Rafael Alves showed some good stuff in the third round. At one point, actually, Damir started to slow down and Rafael Alves started to have some success, but in the first two, it was clearly Damir Ismagulov. There's even an argument in the third round for it to be Damir Ismagulov's as well. Very, very good win from Damir Ismagulov. Just stuck behind his jab. We'll get to the main event in a second. Landed some good kicks, and basically just after the first round, you saw Rafael Alves empty out the tank, and Damir just really work the body on the ground and pound, which was something that was really good in terms of affecting the cardio of Rafael Alves as the fight went on. But Damir Ismagulov did well. Stalled against the cage when he needed to in the third to make the bell. Good stuff from Damir Ismagulov. I want to see him back in the mix at lightweight against a real good opponent, like maybe a Garbrandt Kutateledze or someone who's really good that's just outside the rankings. He's a really good fighter. He's beaten Yoel Alvarez. He's beaten Thiago Moises, who's now fighting Islam Makhachev and is ranked in the lightweight division. So Damir's going to be around top 25. I want to get him a really good opponent next. I don't think he can start taking on guys like Rafael Alves anymore. Let's put him against a really good opponent. 23-1, 4-0 in the UFC. He's back in action. Moving on up the card, David Dvorak versus Juancamilo Ronderos. Well, short notice replacement on a day's notice. Credit to Juancamilo Ronderos for stepping up. Made a nice little 13.5 grand for himself just to show up for a fight that he wasn't even supposed to be in, and now he's probably got himself a UFC contract. If they're keeping a hold of Zaruk Adeshev, they're probably going to keep a hold of this guy. Zaruk Adeshev's what, 3-3? This guy's 4-1. He lost in the first round. They called it a one-armed rear naked choke. It just isn't that, in my opinion. I think it's just the fact that David Dvorak had it under the chin. Ronderos knew that, and he knew that once Dvorak got his hand free, that it was basically over anyway, and he should just tap. I don't think he one-armed rear naked choked him. I just think it was the fact that Ronderos knew it was in. He knew he couldn't really do anything about it. Maybe he used up all of the energy he had on short notice, and Dvorak had his other hand free, which would have just meant him choking out Ronderos without anything he can do about it. So they tapped anyway. But Ronderos started off good, landed some big bombs, went for it in the first round. He's an undefeated guy still, 4-0 at flyweight, so I mean, he's not like a can, even though he took it on a day's notice. I mean, there's worse opponents that could have taken it on a day's notice inside the UFC flyweight division at the moment, in Zaruk Adeshev and Ryan Benoit. 4-0 guy, David Dvorak just worked him around, got him down, got the rear naked. Very good from David Dvorak. Really good scramble as well to pounce on that choke. And he got himself a nice little finish and boosted his name value and also kept on the call out of Raulian Paiva. So let's make the Raulian Paiva fight again. He said he was annoyed about Paiva missing weight and missing a fight again. I say let's rebook it. The storyline's there and we can slowly develop some actual flyweight contenders. It's amazing. Moving on up the card to the featherweight division. Joshua Culibao versus Shahbazyan. It was an okay fight. I mean, it was pretty decent. I mean, Joshua Culibao just really outclassed him in the second and third round, and I actually gave the first round to Yilan Shah, whatever his name is. It's not even his name that they have on Google. His name's way longer. They just won't put it on Google. Disrespect, really, but you know. Shahbazyan, good moments in the first round. Took him down. I don't know how they only gave him 2 takedowns, because he did get a lot more than that, to be fair. I thought they were going to give him the first round. He just landed a couple of shots here and there in the clinch. Joshua Culibao didn't really land too much in the first round either, and Shahbazyan just controlled him against the cage for about 4 minutes of a 5-minute round. So I thought they were going to give the first round to Shahbazyan. I wouldn't mind if it went the other way, but Culibao eventually in the second and third just started picking up the pace. Shahbazyan used a lot of energy with 14 takedown attempts in the first round to not really get get any kind of positional dominance or damage or submission attempts. So eventually Culibao just got it done as this fight went on, tagging up Xiaonan as every single round continued, and looks really good, man. Joshua Culibao looked like a good fighter out there. Definitely got some promise. Very young guy for the featherweight division. Let's keep it going, see what he can do moving forwards. Joshua Culibao used his range and got it done. I went 3 for 3 on the early prelims. Moving on to another prelim bout. Bruno Silva versus Victor Rodriguez. I said Bruno Silva would get a TKO. I didn't say that. You know what I'm saying? I thought that maybe Bruno Silva, Victor Rodriguez, they get into a little bit of a scrap back and forth. Bruno Silva's got a bit more cardio in the second round. He starts landing some good combinations and eventually the referee calls it off. I did not expect Bruno Silva to just, again, light someone up in the flyweight division. He did it in his last fight against JP Buys. Just completely destroyed him. Got a TKO there, I believe, also in the first round. And again, he's done it against Victor Rodriguez. Ping, ping. Down goes Rodriguez in the first round. Maybe a little bit of a weird stoppage, but like it's a flyweight unranked fight. If that was a championship fight, I can see maybe some arguments, but that was a pretty regular stoppage. And also Rodriguez didn't look too in consciousness once the fight had been called off anyway. It was kind of like a Volkov versus Overeem situation where Rodriguez is like looking at the floor. What good is looking at the floor? So obviously he's out of it. Bruno Silva, clean finish, got the job done. Moving on up the card. Court McGee versus Claudio Silva now. Little bit sloppy. I called Claudio Silva to win. I knew I wouldn't get it correct, and I actually said that Court McGee is going to get this one in an upset. And Court McGee went out there and got the upset against Claudio Silva, man. What can I say? He had good cardio. Claudio had some moments, but then he would shoot for a takedown and fail it and end up on bottom, or Court McGee would shoot a takedown on him and get it, and then eventually Claudio just had nothing on bottom to do, no submission attempts, and Court McGee would just land total strikes to a unanimous decision victory. Claudio had some moments where he actually looked like he hurt Court McGee to the body with a body kick or something, and a couple of hooks to the body as well. But man, Court McGee's got a good pace. It was a bit sloppy. No one really won, but Court McGee kind of won. I was wrong. Whatever. Moving on up the card. Ben Rothwell versus Chris Barnett. Okay. I love this. Okay, I've never laughed harder at a UFC fight in my life than watching round 2 of this fight. The first round, Chris Barnett actually landing some nice looking leg kicks. Maybe on a full camp, he actually is kind of good. Who knows? But Ben Rothwell rode out the storm, took those leg kicks, landed some good shots to the body on Chris Barnett, and once he started landing those uppercuts, it was just kind of over for Chris Barnett. He kept leaving his head out there and sometimes just running away from Ben Rothwell, and eventually he just collapsed into a submission, and eventually Rothwell got it done. I don't even think it was a submission, it was just Barnett gassing out really more than anything. But other than that, Rothwell gets it done. Round 2 TKO or round 2 finish. I said round 2 finish. He gets it done. Moving on up the card, Jack Hermansson versus Edmen Shahbazyan. Great fight, actually. Really good fight. Shahbazyan looked really improved in the first round, landing good shots to the body, setting some stuff up upstairs, landing good shots on Hermansson. Really good hooks on the around and inside of Jack Hermansson's guard. He had a bit of a Gaethje guard to Jack Hermansson, trying to recover, trying to keep himself conscious from the shots. Hermansson eventually came back in the second round. I thought he did enough to win the second, even with a good ending by Edmen Shahbazyan. I just think Jack Hermansson had too much dominant time on top in the second round. Shahbazyan left it a little bit too late to do anything, and I gave the second round to Hermansson. Then the third round is a 10-8 round. I mean, he just battered Shahbazyan in the third round, 141 total strikes to 42. I mean, that's kind of the story. It could have been a draw. I was worried about maybe a robbery of a draw live. I thought Hermansson still snuck the second round and the 10-8 in the third. I mean, Shahbazyan's got to fix his cardio. That's a problem in every single one of his fights, it seems. Hermansson gets it done and calls out Whittaker. No, you're getting someone else. Whittaker's getting a title shot. End of. But good call out, I guess, because it might happen. Who knows? If the UFC is a devil-worshipping company. Moving on up the card. Ricardo Ramos versus Bill Algeo. I have problems. I thought Bill Algeo won this fight in the second and third. I could even see an argument in the first. Ramos, I just didn't think did enough damage with the takedowns. I know he had some submission attempts, but to me, he never had 2 hooks in on the back. He never had a good DAS position. They were standing up and Bill Algeo was safe in the position he was in. I didn't think Ramos did enough to win damage-wise, even though he did have some good control moments. I thought Bill Algeo got this one done in the second and third at least, but they gave it to Ricardo Ramos. Wasn't what I expected. It was a good fight, though. Both guys landed some good shots, worked the body, worked the legs. Some good kicks from Bill Algeo. Got a real interesting style, but I guess they just counted the submission attempts from Ramos over the more total strikes and significant strikes from Algeo at range. So they went with Ramos. Moving on up the card, Felicia Spencer versus Norma Dumont. I went with Felicia Spencer, and I was surprised by Norma Dumont's performance. I thought Felicia Spencer was going to go out there, take down Norma Dumont, smash her into bits on the ground, and eventually get a submission like it was absolutely nothing. Norma Dumont stuffed all the takedowns. She landed good shots on the feet. She looked like the much better striker out there, and Felicia Spencer just kept throwing these fucking worthless bullshit kicks that weren't going to do anything even if they did land. And they weren't landing either. Like, she was just flinging kicks out there. I don't know how to explain this, but if you've ever done like Taekwondo, you do like punseis, you do like pattern training, and you kind of get graded your credentials based on not actually competing and making something effective, but you can get credentials and belts and even like medals in some cases. I don't think they do that. Maybe they do it now. I'm not too sure, but like some cases you can get medals in Taekwondo. And I know Felicia Spencer did do Taekwondo. You can get medals for like punseis. Like you can get medals for doing patterns, otherwise known as, and like make them look pretty. I think that's where she got all of her experience from, because those fucking kicks do not work in a fight because they were just show kicks, basically. And she kept throwing them. She had a couple of good scrappy moments, but Norma Dumont just did enough in the first 2 rounds to get it done. And one judge gave it to Felicia Spencer, which I thought was interesting because guess what? The women's featherweight division is done. No more. No Daniela Wolf. Cut her. She couldn't even show up and she got gifted a title elimination bout, for fuck's sake. Cut that bitch. Other than that, Norma Dumont is moving back down to bantamweight. She doesn't even want to stay in the featherweight division. I don't even know how they would justify giving her a title shot in that division, but what the fuck is the division doing? There's one fighter, it's Felicia Spencer. There's no one else other than Nunes. So, like, get rid of it, please. I beg of you. There's no point in having it. What's the fucking point? Honestly, get rid of it. If Felicia Spencer won and kept winning and beat another girl that got shipped over and then maybe beat Kayla Harrison in a title elimination bout, maybe it would make sense. But right now, it makes no sense to have the division. Cut that shit. You were going to cut men's flyweight. Men's flyweight had 20 fighters that all put on good performances. Women's featherweight has 1 fighter, other than Champ. That's it. Fucking get rid of it. Moving on, up the card. I don't know how they gave her a round, by the way. Or I don't know how someone gave her the fight. It was a split decision. So dumb, but I guess that was them trying to keep a hold of that featherweight division to fake Nunes' legacy even more. Moving on up the card, Justin Tafa versus Jared Vanderaa. I went with Justin Tafa. Jared Vanderaa impressed me. Let's just say that. Justin Tafa did unimpress me a little bit as well, but Jared Vanderaa, man, I like his switch kicks. I like his kicks. He's very flexible for a heavyweight. He's very quick for a heavyweight as well. He's pretty light on his feet for a morbidly obese man. Like, it was just a bit of a surprise. I did not expect that from Vanderaa. I thought maybe if he got on top of Tafa, that, like, I don't even think that would ever happen because I don't even think Vandeera's grappling is that good even. So I didn't think that would even happen, but if it did, maybe that would be how he won if he ended up on top in a scramble. But he just outstruck Tafa at range, even whilst being busted up at the face as well. Massive cut on his face from Tafa's bomb in round 2. But still, Vanderaa kept it on Tafa, kept landing shots, and just doubled the output every single round. And got the job done, man. Very good win by Jared Vanderaa. I think it started with the leg kicks and the body kicks. He just sort of set the mode early of investment on Tafa. And Tafa just didn't look like he really recovered from those leg kicks. Although they did not look good big. They didn't look like big head kicks. It's heavyweight, so you don't really need to land big leg kicks. If you're landing them, they're doing something because you're like 260 pounds. Like, I think Jared Vandeera's switch kicks to the legs early made Tafa a little bit more flat-footed than he usually is, because before he used to bounce around a lot more. And then eventually Jared Vanderaa just rode away with the decision. 30-27, I thought it should have been. Good win by Vanderaa. Really good win. And Tafa swung bombs, and Vanderaa took him. So great chin as well. Moving on up the card. Xiaonan versus Carla Esparza. I picked Xiaonan. I thought she had good takedown defense. She stuffed him against Gedalia. She stuffed him against other opponents in her career. And she looked good stuffing him. She looked like she did the technical thing to stuff the takedown. She even looked good in the first round against Esparza here, stuffing a couple of them. Eventually, Esparza got the takedown in the first round. And as soon as she did, she just rained down abominable, destructive ground and pound on Xiaonan the entirety of the fucking fight. Non-stop, bang, bang, bang. Did whatever she wanted to do with Xiaonan on the ground. And it was shocking to me. And I don't think even people who thought that Carla Esparza would out-grapple Xiaonan thought that was going to happen. She straight up destroyed and definitely gets the next title shot against Rose Namajunas, because if Namajunas wins against her, she's redeemed yet another one of her losses, and then she would have beaten every single women's strawweight champion in UFC history. I think that Rose Namajunas is already maybe the best strawweight of all time. She beat Jędrzejczyk twice. She beat Weili Zhang. I think she's the best strawweight of all time. She's beaten Andrade. She beat every strawweight champion other than Esparza. If she wins that one, it's cemented 100% she's the best strawweight of all time. No doubt in anyone's mind. Either way, I guess you got to give Esparza the title shot. She just beat up Xiaonan. I didn't think she was going to be able to do that, because I watched her fail 9 takedowns out of 10 against Michelle Waterson and headbutt the fucking canvas when she did it. Like, I thought, what the fuck is this grappling everyone's talking about here? She couldn't even get a hold of Michelle Waterson. But no, apparently she just ragdolls Xiaonan, destroys her. Good win by Carla Esparza. Moving on up the card. Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt. Unfortunate for Cody Garbrandt. I picked Rob Font to win. I said he was going to just land the jab all day, every day on Cody Garbrandt's jaw. I thought he was going to mix in some uppercuts as well as Cody started to dip his head. I thought he was going to land some head kicks. I thought he was going to do everything he did. I just didn't think he'd do it perfectly for all 5 rounds. I thought maybe it'd be a very close first, which actually was a close first round between them, and maybe Rob Font would catch an emotional Garbrandt in round 2. But Garbrandt stayed patient. It wasn't even the fact that Garbrandt got emotional, swang forwards, got reckless, and then get caught on the chin. Like, it wasn't Garbrandt's fault that he lost this time. Usually it kind of partially is. Against Dillashaw the first time, he drops him, he gets emotional, he starts swinging big hooks, TJ catches him. Partly TJ, partly Cody Garbrandt being a little bit silly. Next fight with TJ, swings like a fucking idiot, gets KO'd, all on Cody. Good for TJ though, he also landed shots when he needed to and was way more technical. Other than that, Pedro Munoz, they clash heads, Garbrandt goes full Garbrandt mode, gets KO'd. Like, it's always on Garbrandt. This time, he stayed patient. He never traded big bombs, and just sat there in the pocket trading big bombs. And when he did maybe try to, Rob Font never let him. He just stuck another jab in his face. Garbrandt was patient. He was technical. It just wasn't fucking good enough. And I didn't expect that. I thought maybe Garbrandt would get emotional and get caught, but Font just smacked him about for 5 rounds like a fucking... You know when Calvin Kattar said he was going to treat Holloway like a freshman? I think Font kind of did that to Garbrandt, like through New England cartel. Finally, they treat someone like a freshman. You know what I mean? Because Font just stuck it on Garbrandt every single round and smacked him about like an actual... I don't mean to be offensive here, but smacked him around like a bitch. Like, really smacked him around. Garbrandt could do nothing about it. Just stood on the outside, accepted what was happening, and just couldn't really figure out how to get past the jab of Rob Font, and I wouldn't be able to either. I don't know what I can tell Garbrandt to where he can go back and win that fight. I don't know what advice to give. It was just Font kept smacking him. Like, every, 5 seconds of the fight, there'd be another 1-2 from Font landing clean. Like, it just... There was no break for Garbrandt to even think in there. He was just always... Alright, time for... Okay, now I'm going to try the... You know what I mean? Like, he just couldn't do anything. Like, okay, now I'm going to try... Okay, but next round I'm going to... You know what I mean? Like, he just... There's nothing Garbrandt could do. And he just got smacked up. Clean win by Font. Garbrandt's got a good chin, I guess. And I think the next move is for him to go to flyweight. Maybe take on an Askar Askarov or... fucking someone. I don't know. Maybe try out flyweight. He didn't even look small in there, though. So can I even say that with a straight face? He didn't look like a small bantamweight. I thought Font was a big bantamweight. Garbrandt could have been the same size. Like, Font is good. Very good range, very good striking. He called out the title shot. I think next for Font is the winner of Munoz versus Aldo in another main event. If he wins that one, then we'll talk about a title shot. Let's make that towards the end of the year, maybe around December. We need time to sort out this whole Algeo Yan situation. Then the winner of Sandhagen Dillashaw for the belt. And then there's just so much that needs to happen first. We don't want to keep Font too active and have him sitting out for ages. So let's move him back to December. Maybe headline one of the last few shows of the year. Him versus the winner of Munoz Aldo in a 5-round main event. Winner of that one takes on the winner of the winner of the winner of the winner of the bantamweight belt in like the middle of 2022. From delivering pizzas to smashing up Cody Garbrandt. I mean, fucking good win from Rob Font. Clean stuff. Can't fault it. He actually destroyed him. Craziness. Like, I actually did pretty good on predictions. Let's sum up the predictions. I said Damir Ismagulov 29-28. That's how he won. Decision. I said Dvorak finish, but I said in the third by TKO, but I didn't even predict that fight, so I don't even know what that is. But I said by a second or third round TKO. Eventually happened in the first by submission. I still called a finish on Dvorak. Got Culibao. I said that would happen in the first. Happened by decision, but got Culibao. Said Silva by TKO, but it happened in the first rather than the second. I said Silva by decision. Whatever, he has no fucking cardio. Rothwell, I said second round finish. I said TKO, but Barnett decided to tap to a submission that wasn't even one. But either way, I said Hermansson submission. That went to a decision. As the fight went on, he got it done. I still got him correct. I said Bill Algeo by decision, 29-28. That's what happened. I said he would outland Ricardo Ramos in the second and third round and do way more damage, while Ramos just sort of gets nothing grappling moments. And that's what it was. I got Algeo correct. Moving on. Felicia, Spencer, Norma, Dumont, whatever, all good. Tafa, Vanderaa, whatever, all good. Xiaonan, Esparza, whatever, all good. I got Font though, so I'll take that. I got the main event. That's all I care about. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Goodbye. I'll see you later.